Hey guys, here at osandvdxreviews.com. You're watching our video review of the K-Touch A7718. This is an international unlocked handset produced by the Chinese manufacturer K-Touch, which produces generally mid-end to low-end smartphones as well as multimedia handsets that are unlocked, which means you can use any SIM card on the back and then you're ready to go. So it's a global quad-band world phone. The A7718 is actually a model that's targeted at younger children and at seniors with its extra-large numeric D-pad on the bottom, which makes it really easy to dial numbers. In addition, it has special features such as SOS for emergency calling, and it also has preset contacts which you can call family members and daughters and sons for elderly people or perhaps their moms or dads for younger kids to use. So it's a very easy to use, simplistic handset. With that in mind, the A7718 also has a very distinctive design because it's kind of reminiscent of some Nokia handsets. It's also interesting because, like the name suggests, K-Touch, the manufacturer produces, most of their handsets are touchscreen handsets. The A7718 is no exception. It actually features a 2.4-inch TFT resistive touchscreen for you to interact around the user interface, which is all very cool. The color of the design is actually made entirely out of white plastic. There isn't a black iteration, which we found interesting. It's only coming in this white color. Unlocked, you can pick this up for $125 with free shipping online, which is a pretty decent cost for an unlocked handset. Taking a closer look at the design, on the top we have an earpiece. On the bottom here are two soft keys, a 5-way navigation toggle, again very easy to press, especially for seniors with not as good eyesight as younger people these days. Talk and end keys, you can also turn the device on by pressing the power on key. The numeric D-pad is basically in a T9 style layout, so if you want to input a lot of text, it's going to be one of the weaker areas of the handset. Also on the side here, we have a volume control. We have an FM radio for seniors and kids to listen to radios. Again, that family contacts to lock or unlock the D-pad. A volume control, an alarm clock, a magnifying glass to actually zoom in on the screen in case seniors have worse eyesight. And there's also an SOS feature like I talked about before. On the bottom of the device, we have a micro USB for charging and syncing information. The device comes with 4 gigs of internal storage via a micro SD card that's pre-installed and included in the price. There's a lanyard cord on the side. The top of the device features actually a flashlight and also an LED indicator to show that when it's charging, so it's going to be nice in darker environments. There's also a 3.5mm headphone jack for listening to FM radios and not using the speakers. Interestingly, the FM radio also features an antenna, so you can actually extend it. So in terms of reception range, this device was always in an area where we could get a lot of good reception for radio stations. The back of the device features a very loud speaker and also a 3.0 megapixel non-autofocus fixed focus camera. Peeling back the back cover, we notice that the device actually is a dual SIM card handset. I'm going to remove the battery, and you can see you have 2 SIM card slots, SIM card 1, SIM card 2, and there's your micro SD card slot, which means that you can actually have 2 numbers in here when you're traveling, or perhaps one in different countries, so that you can always roam back and forth without having too much additional international costs. Now, one complaint we did have of the A7718 was the fact that the device also resets its time every single time that it shuts off and shuts back on, which is kind of interesting, and it kind of forgets its settings once in a while, which is interesting. Let's go back. Because the K-Touch line of handsets are typically released in China and also in Asian markets, it should be noted that the device first comes, if you purchase it online, in a Chinese menu format. To change the menu system back into English, you press menu, and then you would go into the settings by pressing the settings bar, and then going into phone settings, and then input method for handwriting input, as well as select language for selecting English or Chinese. As far as the user interface is concerned, the K-Touch has a pretty intuitive user interface. It's, again, not a smartphone. It is a multimedia handset with a very interesting touchscreen. And although the touchscreen display is actually resistive, we found that it was actually very responsive. And you'll notice that the device doesn't have a built-in stylus, so it really relies on the sensitivity of the screen, which, again, is quite good. And a screen protector is actually included out of the box. Again, the design is kind of reminiscent of some Nokia handsets. I think that's a pretty good thing because it's fairly stylish, and including the backlighting of this device is actually blue, so you can read it in darker environments. In order to call someone, you basically just directly press on the dial pad to call, and you can use SIM card 1 or SIM card 2 and add this as a new contact, or call them, or use an MMS text message to give them a text. It all works pretty well, and we're never really in an area where we didn't have any reception, which is again a great feature for elderly people. The reception rate is very strong on this handset. As far as battery life is concerned, it isn't as good as we hoped it would be, but it's still pretty good. You can get 3 days with of usage of this handset without turning it off. So it's certainly longer than most smartphones these days, but again, for something targeted at elderly or younger people, we hope that it'll be a little bit longer than this. Still, it does the job quite well. You can go into everything can be basically navigated through the whole D-pad area over here by pressing through the settings and the different interfaces. But you can also use a touchscreen to navigate. The main menu is composed of these 2x4 icons that you can select through. It includes call log for taking a look at the numbers you've called recently, a contacts list, a K-zone, which basically is your web browser to go into the internet. Now the K-Touch doesn't include Wi-Fi. It does include Bluetooth for wireless connectivity to headphones and when you're calling someone or listening to music, but unfortunately, again, you have to use your own cellular network when you're browsing the web. Pastime is basically your selection of games. Very few games are included. We do have one basic game here. Again, it's kind of fun. It's a little bit puzzles. You can slide around in order to solve these games. And not a lot of games are built in, but there are the options to actually add more games because most of these games are Java based, and you can always add more online. Let's keep on going back. And next one is Life Assistant. Basically, these are your organizer functions, including the FM radio that we talked about. And pressing that, it's automatically going to play. Again, it's quite loud, so we can hopefully turn off the volume by going smaller on the volume controls over there. So again, you could tell that the speaker is very loud, so again, it's a great feature for elderly people with a worse hearing than so that they can always hear the phone when it's actually ringing, which is very important. And you can also tell that the FM radio is always very loud, and it's always in range of reception, which is again pretty good. One thing I will say, though, about this particular model that I didn't really like was the fact that it doesn't have a built-in volume rocker, which you've noticed through the design already. This means that if you want to control the volume settings, you have to go through the menu itself, and it works. Because the screen is pretty sensitive, but unfortunately, I still would have liked to see a volume rocker, especially when I'm calling someone listening to music for ease of use, which should have been the main theme of this handset. There's an alarm clock, a calendar, magnifier. Again, this is to magnify in and out of your text. It basically just uses the camera on the back in order to magnify images. So, for example, if I have an iPhone 4S here, I can take a look at this, and you can see that text is now magnified. Again, it's still pretty readable. It shows that the camera is actually pretty decent, even though it's only 3 megapixels. I can still see everything. So yeah, for people with elderly eyesight, your phone can now act as your magnifying glass, which is, again, a pretty cool feature to have. Going back to the menu and our daily assistant, after magnifying glass, we have a family numbers, hearing increment, which basically allows us to tweak the volume controls on the earpiece, and that's pretty much it. Over here we have multimedia, which includes a picture viewer and also a video viewer. The device actually plays back MP4 and MP4 files without a hiccup. Although the processor under here isn't going to, of course, display high definition video very well. It's going to stutter a little bit, but it does most video content pretty good. And the regular camera itself, which actually isn't zoomed out, is also, again, pretty decent, even though it's fixed focus. And again, we can just take an image and capture it. Snapshots are pretty fast, so you'll always be able to have this emergency camera with the device, which is good. I can save it and go back. Also have, again, the image browser, the audio player. It includes a few tracks, but of course you have to download your own through your micro SD card. Interface is pretty generic. Again, we have a video player as well for playing back video clips if we have any. And again, it works pretty well. The screen size, though, 2.4 inches is quite small for most video content, so you'll probably want to limit those applications' usage of the video player. Tools including, again, Bluetooth, the calculator, voice recorder. You have a world clock, displays clocks in all over the world, which is pretty nice. And there's a location finder, inputting a query search, and you can find where you are, which again is also important so that we don't have anyone getting lost. And there's also electric torch, which is a funny name because it's basically just for the flashlight. And I can activate this, and as you can see, now we have a light. And again, this is a great feature to have, especially in darker environments. Again, because this phone is targeted at elderly people, this is a great feature in general because it's, again, one of those things that it might come in handy when it's actually used. And unless you turn the device off, the flashlight will always be illuminated. That's pretty much it. I said from the settings, again, you can go back through the security, enter a password, profiles, and that's pretty much it. You can also add a wallpaper, of course, to the main screen if you so do desire, and you can set the date and time by pressing that according area. Overall, the K-Touch handset for elderly and younger children, I think, is a pretty well-designed handset. It comes in its own niche little family because there aren't too many devices that are built like this. There are a few though, and they don't have as many features as the K-Touch provides. In addition, the K-Touch does have a very good keypad. It does have very good call quality and pretty good battery life, though not the best. In addition, it does have that pretty cool touchscreen experience. It has that flashlight, a great FM radio, and very loud speaker. And again, that magnifying glass feature is pretty cool. Now, reasons why you could possibly be deterred from purchasing this handset includes lack of a volume rocker and the fact that this is an international version, so most applications are still better suited for Chinese and Asian markets than they are for English markets. There are a few misspelled words here and there that might be a little bit confusing in the menu navigation. So thanks for watching here at osmvtxreviews.com. This has been our video review of the K-Touch A7718 series.